Welcome to the Get Well podcast. My name is Brennan Wiersma. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Today I'm here with Casey Lyon from PC Simplicity.
Yes, sir.
Also a Marine veteran and business owner in the Prescott Valley area. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, so had some technical difficulties, but I guess that works out that I'm in a computer store.
Yep, it does. It does. We would have a solution one way or the other.
So as far as your business and PC Simplicity, maybe just give like a quick intro about what that is and kind of what it means.
Yeah, PC Simplicity was an idea that we came up with about September 4th, 2014. So we've been around for a minute. We wanted to simplify essentially what we do. Computer work, computer repair, and really bridge a gap between people and their technology, their computers. It can be really confusing and it can be overwhelming for a lot of the older generation. So we've really tried to focus on having a clean aesthetic, clean presentation, clean prices, nothing complicated, hence simplicity. It really does help bridge that gap for people who are just wanting affordable help, don't want to have to wait forever, don't want to have to pay too much. Just be a really good, reliable, we're open 7 days a week, small town computer repair shop. And always be here. Just, we only are closed, essentially, Christmas, Easter, I believe Thanksgiving, and New Year's Day. So 4 days. That's it.
Wow, that's impressive. And yeah, like I was saying earlier on our first take, the PC Simplicity, the website, the branding, it was kind of something I noticed right away. I don't have any issues with my computer, but it was like, I want to go check this place out just to see what's going on. So props to you for that.
We did it all ourselves, essentially. I mean, when you're starting this kind of stuff, you've got to hustle and really make sure you know that you're comfortable. Once you come up with a business name, once you come up with the logo, once you come up with essentially your colors, your aesthetic, your palette, it's permanent. You cannot go back on that. It confuses the heck out of people, when you do. So we did it all ourselves from the ground up.
That's awesome. So how did this come to be? Did you always have this entrepreneurial mindset? Did you always want to start a business? And like, at what point did you decide that you wanted to start PC Simplicity?
That's a good question. So essentially, just a little background on me. Enlisted just a few months before September 11th. I was, I think, just turning 17. Towers got hit, and then my mother was pissed. She was like, I was a poolee in the program. And they were like, oh, great, now you get to, go to Iraq and do all of that stuff. She was not happy. But, hey, I was 17. I was like, yo, let's do it. So went into the Marine Corps, did my time there as a radio operator, 0621, was attached to a grunt unit. We did deployed once, and then I essentially did my time after that. Just got out, essentially after. The Marine Corps wasn't for me in the grand scheme of things. I had a lot of friends, a lot of people that I knew were, but I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I got a side little gig. I do vocals in a rock band. So I do that on top of this, essentially. One makes more money than the other. One makes money at all, and the other does not. But essentially, after I got out of the Marine Corps, went down a different path for a minute there. After I got out, had a lot of mental health issues, just a lot of stuff I needed to get figured out. Right after I got out, essentially, I went down a path of addiction for a while. So alcohol, opioids, and it's pretty much whatever I can get my hands on at the time. And I know, I don't think you've interviewed a lot of people with that background, but it's the truth. Battle hardened me a little bit, so really floundered for almost 10 years after after I got out.
Yeah.
But went into recovery. This was November 1st, 2013. So got
Okay.
clean, pretty much went cold turkey off of everything. The VA helped out a lot. The VA, the Northern Arizona VA healthcare system is phenomenal.
Really?
Yeah. And it sucks because I was so dishonest with them for such a long time, just about my addiction. And they were, troubleshooting constant mental health issues. And little did they know I was compounding the problem by this thing I had in the background. Oh, guess what? The opioids that they were prescribing, I wasn't taking accordingly. Oh, and I was mixing it with alcohol, or I was smoking weed, or, that kind of stuff. They weren't happy, but at the end of the day, they ended up put me through a little program. I went through the domiciliary that's in Prescott, VA. I got clean. Directly after it, I was like, I had to replace all of my time. Instead of drug-seeking behavior. And you learn a lot, actually, through recovery. And you learn a lot of skills while being... You realize that you have a lot of skills while being an addict. You actually hustle a lot. You know how to manage your time, depending on the drug. But you really do learn how to dedicate yourself towards accomplishing a mission over and over and consistently. You wake up on time, you go get whatever your fix is, and then you essentially end your day with everything, with a job well done. And then you essentially have to repeat it over and over. Like, it's Groundhog's Day when it comes to drugs. But then once I realized I had some of these skills and bored out of my mind, went to work for Kmart for like a few months, hated it, found out I was an absolutely terrible employee. I don't like wearing uniforms. I don't like showing up on time when they want me to show up. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to make my own schedule and do my own thing, So I had a skill. I was a radio operator in the Marine Corps, but I had a skill with computer repair, and I had a good gift of gab when it came to talking with people and working with older clientele, working with older people. And I realized I just had a kind of a knack for it, and decided, you know what? I'm going to focus that. I'm going to take my time and whittle this down to a sharp tool that I can use consistently to help not only make some money, but try to be a better part of the community. Like, really focus on what makes this community awesome. Mm-hmm. This community has been great to me. This absolutely phenomenal. From the VA to family and friends and local people. What's super cool is we're getting bigger, but we're still pretty small. If you do good work in this town, they'll really prop you up and support you. You screw someone over, they'll burn your shop down. So there's a pro and a con, but all you've got to do is focus on making sure you're providing a really good service at an affordable price. And if there are complications, if there are problems, you focus on solving them. If it means you ate time, if it means you ate money, that's the cost. Mm-hmm. You have to really make sure you're working in the best interest for the community. So essentially Marine Corps, addiction, wanted to find out what I could spend my time doing, and decided, you know what, I'm going to focus on starting a business and seeing how it works. Come hell or high water, I was going to make it work. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to suck at working for Kmart, you need to do the opposite and then do good at working for yourself, right? Like, you can't suck at both. Yeah. That's basically it.
Yeah, man, that's an inspiring story. First off, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
But what you were saying, that's inspiring and an interesting perspective, even with how you were talking about that hardship and how that even transitioned into learning some skills.
Sir.
So you almost carried over some skills as an entrepreneur based
Yes.
off of when you were in that, really dark time of your
Yes,
life. It
sir.
sounds like.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've taken things from the military and from being an addict at some point?
Struggle is like a key to being successful. I think you have to fail. You have to have nothing. You have to start at zero,
Mm.
and it really does, because it only can get better. You can only, you can, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Essentially, take every failure, take every misstep, and channel it into something. Life life is too short to not spend every second trying to create, make, build, construct. And if you need to tear it all down to build it back up better again, tear it all down and build it back up better again. You know?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. People, I think, fail to realize how finite time really is. I always like to think about it. Everyone has a certain about 1,000 minutes every single day, and what you do with it is the same amount of opportunity as what the next guy does with it. And you can, waste it, or you can be motivated, and like
Yes,
you were
sir.
saying, spending every second trying to create and grow, because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I mean, sounds like you have a lot of experience up to this point, growing a brand and continuing to, you know, reach out and make a positive impact, which is kind of what really matters most.
Yeah, the two can go hand in hand. You can essentially work for the community, work positively, and actually make money doing it at the same time. Like, that's actually the cool thing. Doing the right thing can actually, when the bar, especially with computer repair, the bar's pretty low.
Really?
Right? Yeah. It really is low. This is an unregulated industry. You don't need any certifications in anything. So anybody can open anything. I mean, I could talk about my certs, but it doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, everybody just really wants you to focus on what you can do, what you can provide. They don't care about what kind of certifications you have. They want to know you can actually do the job, which is really weird. Like, this industry is really weird because of that.
That's probably better than just having somebody, you have to have a degree or I'm not going
Yep.
to type of thing, right?
Yeah, you don't have to play by anybody's rules. There is a downside to that, obviously, when it's, I mean, hairdressers are more regulated than we are. When it's not regulated, essentially, you get some bad actors. And this town has had it. There was a business here, I think it was like 10 years ago or more, that really did bad for the community. I won't say the name, it doesn't even matter. The guy ended up going to prison for it.
Jeez.
Yes, so this town has a bad track record with computer repair. Again, the bar was really low, and I knew I did it really well, and I knew I was able to bring something different. We provide some things that are different than every other computer repair store. So I knew we could provide something better, but the bar was really low. Yeah.
So could you elaborate a little more on what that process was like, actually starting the business, or like getting the building or getting clients, and kind of just how it got to this point?
Yeah. So essentially, like, if anybody out there is trying to start with running a computer repair shop, you need to start small. You need to focus on one, being good at it. That goes without saying. So let's just work under the assumption you know how to fix stuff.
Okay.
Once you know how to fix stuff, and you can do that really well, work out of your house. Work, essentially slim it down and be as small and as efficient as possible. A lot of people don't like that. That's a pro of a brick and mortar store. You have trust. There is this, hey, I know if I go to this guy, he'll still be here tomorrow. But in the beginning, you have to focus on being small and efficient. It's the only way it works. And that's what I did. I started out that way. And then actually what happened with this shop, was opportunity. So this shop was ran by Justin Agrell, an awesome business owner, and his wife, Nikki. Both of them an awesome couple. And they were wanting to get out of this industry and essentially move towards focusing on more business clients. And he wanted to kind of go into software development, and they were selling the business essentially. And they essentially worked with a friend that was I think he was stalking me a little bit online. Not really, but he was seeing how I was interacting with the community on Facebook because I was doing a lot of repairs. I was getting a lot of recommendations. I opened up a forum, the Prescott Tech's Facebook group, which, by the way, if you're looking for free help, there is if you're in the greater Prescott area, there's a place called Prescott Tech's that offers a lot of the shop owners, a lot of the smaller and bigger shop owners are all in this group. And you can essentially get free tech help. Oh. I did a lot of posts there and essentially built this reputation on being, hey, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about and seems to be reasonable, and no one in the town is pissed off at him. So again, the bar is really low. And then Justin ended up approaching me after his friend said, hey, you should check him out. Built a relationship with Justin and ended up taking it over, 6 years ago, 5, 7, I can't even remember. I work almost every day. Time is an illusion. I don't know what day it is half the time. But yeah, he ended up selling it to me for a really fair price. Success isn't always just get a degree and work really hard. There's this weird little mix of things that have to happen. You have to constantly sharpen your tools and literally wait for opportunity, right? And that's what happened. I was in this perfect little spot where I was ready to grow. I had a lot of clients. I had enough volume, more volume than I could handle. And it just happened that he was like, hey, do you want to buy the business? And at the end of the day, I wasn't going to be able to keep the phone number. I wasn't going to be able to keep the name. So I said, yeah, let's just dive into it. Opportunity. I've been sharpening my tools for almost an entire year before that. Made the business name, made the all of the logos, design, website, had a following essentially. Yeah, and it just lined up perfect. I was able to take it over. It took a couple of weeks for me to get my head on straight on how to run a shop and have employees.
Yeah.
Here's another really good tip.
Okay.
Have a badass wife. That actually helps a lot. I'm not even joking. Stephanie Lyon, my wife, she's the general manager over at McDonald's, just down the road from here. Mm-hmm. She's badass. She's incredible at everything she does. She's a very good general manager. The people love her. Her employees love her. I think her leadership really likes her. She works super hard. She's also going to school, working on a bachelor's. She knows a lot about human resources. She knows a lot about essentially what it's like to run 90 employees.
Wow.
So
yeah.
All you got to do if you want to be really successful, get really good at what you do, wait for opportunity, take the opportunity when it comes, marry an awesome woman who can pretty much fill in the blanks on everything you can't do, and work 7 days a week and hustle. That's it. I mean, it's just a small little group of things that you have to do to succeed. Just have a badass wife and wait for awesome opportunity. Yeah. Anyway, she was cool. She was an important tool. Yeah. She was a vital tool. Are you married?
I'm not. No.
Do you have a significant other?
I do. I have a girlfriend. Yeah. She lives in Germany. Shout out to Livia.
Oh man.
Yeah.
In Germany.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's not easy. Met in high school and then pretty much dated that entire year, and then after that she left to go back home, and we've kind of just made trips.
So she was part of the exchange?
Yeah, like an exchange student. Yeah.
Wow,
sorry, yeah.
That's super cool, man. You don't meet a lot of people who have that opportunity. And German women are beautiful women, beautiful country.
Yeah, I've got to go to Europe and see Germany and a little bit of Spain, so
That's
let's
cool.
open some doors there.
Essentially, make sure. I mean, dude, if she ends up being an awesome partner, fight to keep that.
Mhm.
Fight. You know, she's my linchpin. We've had Stephanie and I. We've been very happily married, still happily married for, I think it went on 13 years now. You can't yell at me. I remembered 13 years.
Congrats.
And it's having that partnership is incredibly important. So important. Yeah. But I hope that answers your question.
No,
I think it
definitely.
did. I don't know.
Very in depth, and
I ramble.
No, I agree with everything you said, and you brought up some points that maybe other people wouldn't even consider, even just having that assistance or that help from a significant other. That's huge. And going back to what you said about opportunity, as far as that opportunity presenting itself, how much of that is you creating that opportunity versus just being in the right place at the right time?
Oh man, that actually is a really interesting point. Isn't that what you're doing all the time anyway, though? You are constantly setting yourself up for that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You're essentially like, opportunity's a house, and you walk up to it every day and you knock on the door. No one answers that day, but you went. You knocked. You looked. You tried. You go home, sharpen your tools. Yeah, that's a good point. It really is. But at the end of the day, it really just kind of right place, right time.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to be ready.
But yeah, as a result of your word of mouth and the network you created, and
That's a good point.
How it came. Like, I mean, I would never have an opportunity that someone wouldn't ask me to start a computer building business, because there's no reason anybody would, right? But you obviously have spent a lot of time working on it just because you love doing it, and
Yes, sir.
whether that's whatever the rhyme or reason for that is kind of where almost that
Yeah,
feeds through.
I've heard if you really want to be successful, or I've heard this, maybe you, because you're doing all these interviews, if you want to be really successful, or let's just dumb it down to rich, surround yourself in rich people.
Yeah,
Right.
I've heard, yeah.
If you want to become really good at fixing cars, surround yourself in cars and fix it. Break it, don't be good at it for a while, but fix it.
Mhm.
Or if you want to be in the computer industry, surround yourself in tech. Invest the money, invest the time, build a portfolio, build a website, build an image, let people know who you are. Don't be a scumbag, be honest. Again, that one business that was before, again, the bar was super low. Take that opportunity. When you see a vacuum and you know you can fill it, fight for it and just fill that freaking guy. Fill that hole, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point.
Where did your interest in tech come from? Have you always wanted to work with computers? And is that just a passion you've had, and you were lucky enough to find a way to make money doing it?
I suck at everything else except screaming into a microphone in a band and fixing computers. Literally, that is it. I'm a good husband. I do laundry, and so I'll clean my floors, take care of my dogs and cats. But other than that, again, it just came down to I was bad at being an employee. I was bad at everything else. I wasn't even a good drug addict. I wasn't. Well, because if you're really good, you're always you're always successfully on your fix, and always have perfect plans for the next fix and all of the money. I wasn't even really good at it. I wasn't good at hustling that. I didn't want to do it. That's a big thing. If you don't want to do it, if you're not passionate about something, you need to get out of it. 1,000%. But yeah, I'm bad at everything else.
I mean, that
Yeah.
worked out in a good way for you, right? That you were able to find this little community where you could provide the service and do a good job and be passionate about it.
Yes, sir. That's what I was telling another gentleman online the other day. That is a fact. Essentially, right place, right time. This community had a vacuum for good computer repair. There are some good shops. By the way, the competition's good now.
Okay.
Shout out to Tri-City Computers, Greg over there, PC Works, Micro AZ, I hear good things about over at the mall. Then you got Fix It Mobile, who focuses on phones in Prescott, Batteries Plus, right across the street. There's good competition, there's good pricing, there's really good shops now. So just FYI, if you guys are looking for really good computer repair, of course come to me. But at the end of the day, if it's not geographically convenient, there are other really good shops too. So that's a important thing to say. But yeah, if you're not really good at anything, focus on what you're really good at. Did I answer your question?
Beautifully. Yeah, no, great. Yeah, I'm trying to soak all this in, because I mean, eventually, I don't know what yet, but I do want to go towards starting my own business.
You seem good at this.
It's a learning curve for sure, but
And you got a good voice for it too. You got that podcaster voice. I don't have that voice. I don't have that at all. You know, you got that nice, perfect tone, very ear friendly.
Thanks, I appreciate it, because I don't think my mind can, when you hear your own voice, it's
I
kind
know.
of weird. But
I know. That's the good thing about being in a a heavy metal band. If all you got to do is scream, it's all distorted anyway. It just sounds like noise. So at the end of the day, you don't have to have a great singing voice. You just need to be able to scream and key.
yeah, I'm going to have to check out some of your music. I could link it in all the description.
Oh, that would be
if you
cool.
wanted. Yeah, you want me to? Perfect.
Sure. It's Terraform the Sun is the name of the band. Terraformthesun.com. Yeah, terraformthesun.com. I think that's what it is. We're on Facebook. It's just a small local thrash metal with melody. Jason Shepard is in it. Chris Ozuna, one of the best drummers I've ever met in the world. We have Heidi Gadd. She worked with Chester Bennington on Lincoln Park.
Wow.
She worked with Grey Days, essentially. She's done a lot of I don't know if she's worked specifically, but she's worked with Chester Bennington. She worked with Grey Days. Does all the strings. We have a violinist. Yeah, super cool project. Super cool melodic thrash metal project. But yeah, no, that'd be cool. Yeah, if you want to drop that in there, that would be sick.
Honestly, I haven't in the past been a fan of screamo metal music.
That's okay. Look, it's not everybody's thing. That's fine. Yeah, this stuff is pretty aggressive, but it's all about harmony. It's all about having that hook, accessibility at the same time. You want to have both aggression, anger, violence, but then it's got to be dynamic. It's got to have those pretty parts.
Yeah, because my roommate, he listens to a lot of it, and ever since then, it's kind of been growing on me. And then you'll hear the screaming part, and then they'll go into the chorus, and it's like, oh dang, that guy's got a good voice.
Right.
When he's screaming, I can't really tell.
Yes, yeah, that perfect little blend of accessibility. Pretty much make death metal pop. That's the trick. Make super accessible heavy metal.
Cool.
It's a tricky formula.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're good at it. Some people say we're fine at it. I don't know. We're figuring it out.
I'll have to look into it. But as far as your business model, one of the questions I wanted to ask is the idea of, in America, it seems like the idea for a business is just to infinitely grow and to never level off at any point. Like Apple is always going to be making a new phone. Tesla is always going to be doing the new thing with, a microchip, whatever. That just kind of keeps going and going and going. Do you think that applies to all businesses and to have a successful business model? Is there ever a level that you think you just want to maintain, or is the plan to just infinitely grow for you?
I'll tell you, I don't think it's a great idea for everyone whatsoever.
Okay.
Not for me. Not for. Again, what the PC Simplicity model was built on was local.
Mm-hmm.
We do custom builds. We're known for doing the best custom builds in this area. But essentially, at the end of the day, wait, go ahead, ask your question one more time. Essentially,
do you think that the business model of just infinite growth all the time is appropriate for all businesses, or do you think there's a medium where you can kind of just maintain after a certain point?
For us, the answer is no. I really want to stay focused on being small.
Okay.
I don't want to have a ton of employees. I don't want to, gosh, when you stretch yourself too thin, it's a recipe for disaster. especially in this field, in this industry. And I can't speak for other industries, but it is so important. You better be badass and saturated in work before you can even talk about growing or going outside of that. We've been talking about possibly opening up another location out in Chino Valley, but we got a lot of people coming from Chino, like to see us. A lot of people from Paulden. We got people coming from Camp Verde, Sierra Vista, or Sedona. Sorry, not Sierra Vista. That would be way too far. Some from Phoenix. Stay focused at what you're really good at. Do not overgrow. You'll know it when it happens. You'll know when it's time. We're literally, and the audience can't see it, but our shop can handle a lot. We can push a lot of volume. We're at this perfect, Justin McGrail with Western Sky, when he kind of designed some of this, and we've improved on it, I believe. But when he designed a lot of this, we can sustain a lot of volume, and that's perfect. Like, work efficiently. Don't dump money into property. Don't dump money into trucks. Don't dump you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're doing it all legitimately. Like, you've got a CPA, you've got all the proper insurance, licensing, bonding, protected, good umbrella. That stuff is expensive. Like starting a business legitimately, giving your guys direct deposit, paying them a very fair wage, that is difficult and expensive. If you stretch yourself too thin, it's a recipe for disaster, especially in this field.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I could see kind of getting into, room where you wouldn't necessarily be able to, stand on your own 2 feet after you stretch yourself too far.
What has others said? I mean, I guess it depends on the industry. Like, what have you heard? What's been the general consensus?
Well, I mean, my perspective is, or not my perspective, but my like the way it appears to me with larger companies is it just seems like they're always innovating and always trying to do stuff. So what I was curious is on like a smaller business level, if that's kind of the way it works, is if it's just, if you're not constantly growing, then maybe you're not.
That's an interesting point. I mean, I don't know if we're constant. In this industry, you really have to stay focused on what the hell is new, what is relevant. I said earlier, we don't work on phones, we don't work on tablets, and that's kind of not a great thing, as that is a industry that it's weird. It grows, it shrinks, it gets easy, it gets hard, it gets expensive, it gets cheap. It's a weird industry that constantly balloons. You have to have a specific model for it. Like, we have a really good model for what we do. You need to have a specific model to do portable device repair. You need to have really good resources, be able to get authentic screens, genuine screens, genuine batteries. It's really difficult to essentially have a business like that does the portable device repair. Yeah, I think it's important for your small business to stay in scope. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Because what do your customers want? What does your demographic give a crap about?
Right.
What do they want? What we have found people want is affordable, consistent. Hey, he's always there. He's always there from 9 to 6. He's open on Sundays. He's not a jerk. Their prices are fair. I've got a problem. I need to call. They will call me back. That's what works for our industry, our model. We don't have to constantly reinvent the wheel,
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, if you're Apple, I could see. Anybody else, I could see, or an industry that's really volatile.
It kind of depends on what you do. Like, you're more fixing things, not inventing new things, right?
Correct.
That's like maybe part of it.
But you do have to stay up to date.
Okay.
And that's what we see a lot of people fail in this industry on. It's really easy in customer service to become a curmudgeon, like hate everybody, jaded, don't like to do. And it's funny because I yell in a heavy metal band, and I'm constantly having to channel anger, I'm generally not an angry guy. So it's really difficult for me to become a curmudgeon, if you will. I'm an anti-curmudgeon. Don't become jaded. Don't really focus on being super pleasant with people. You know, yeah. At the end of the day, what's important? I lost my train of thought there. Sorry.
No, I got you.
But yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess to kind of keep going on that idea of you know, how you operate your business, is it as far as getting clients and you know, advertising and networking, that sort of thing, is it mostly word of mouth? I noticed so you said you have a website. As far as social media, what ways do you get business here?
Yeah, hustle. So again, if you're going to work efficiently, you're going to be a jack of all trades. You're going to do a lot of stuff yourself, probably like what you do. You probably video edit yourself. You run all the tech. You do the podcasting and the talking, and you're essentially the narrator. And you've got to do all of it yourself. Definitely all the social media, Facebook, Yelp, we manage all of it. We do I do pretty much everything, along with my wife, having Stephanie to fill that gap. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like to me, especially going forward in 2020, there's such a big presence online with businesses and companies. It's almost, I mean, in 2020 being almost exclusively that with some businesses, it seems like a big pivot that people would have to make if they weren't already online or on social media or that sort of thing. So I was just kind of curious of how, if that's always kind of been something you've been on the curve with, or if...
Yeah, I really try to focus on having that online talk with people. You have to stay present. You have to post. You have to show people you're alive. Constantly remind them, oh hey, they're out there building computers. They're out there doing interesting projects. You have to remind people. Social media, and you doing it yourself. If you don't, again, don't hire anybody. Do it yourself. Focus, get good at it. Focus on really being good at all the social media aspects like Facebook, Yelp, Twitter. Dominate that field. Here's a fun little fact a lot of people don't realize. One of the reasons why you have to get good at it is essentially you control SEO better, or search engine optimization.
Yeah, okay.
If you really want to have a really good presence online and keep people engaged, a lot of people pay for the Google Black Magic, you know. They'll go to a company that does, you know, we'll build your website, we'll build your online, you know, web persona, we'll make sure you get all the clicks and all of that nonsense. Really dominate the major social media aspects, so like Twitter, Facebook, and stuff like that, Instagram, because nothing goes higher on Google, nothing goes higher on Bing than these social media platforms. So especially if you're a business that's just starting out and you're trying to like figure out how to get your business name at the top, and a bunch of others already have it. One, make sure you have a unique business name, but two, get your Twitter, get your Facebook, get all of that, because essentially that's all the stuff that's usually indexed at the top anyway. So really make sure you have an active social media presence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That sounds like a big factor.
Get good, man. Get good. Do it all yourself, and have a really good partner who can fill the gaps.
Yeah, with starting the podcast and everything, I'm very ignorant with, I mean, not really, like you people watching today see me keep looking at this thing because I don't know how, I want to make sure it's still recording, but my buddy Kenny actually helped me out with the first few episodes, and he kind of comes in and out, but he's taught me a lot, and now I can kind of, you know, at least run the show minimally on my own.
And I apologize. I apologize, guys. I'm totally new to the whole podcast thing. You're really good. You're making me super comfortable. So you've got definitely a knack for it. I would stick with it. It's weird. This format is definitely interesting. Like, I could see why it would be challenging for you to get good at it, because essentially you've got to talk a lot, and then hopefully you don't lose your train of thought on things. And you're like an MC essentially. You know, like you're steering this boat, and hopefully it doesn't completely crash into you know, an iceberg.
Yeah.
It's impressive. It's impressive.
I appreciate that.
And I appreciate you making it comfortable for me. And I'll figure out how to get good at this.
No, I'm doing my best. I mean, so far, you should start a podcast. It sounds like you're pretty good at this already.
It's just I don't know about that, man. You got it nailed down pretty well. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting format.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, like the best part of this to me is, I mean, it's opened a door for me that I am really thankful for, because I've been able to meet people like you. Like, hopefully I can stay in touch with you. If you
Sure.
don't mind, I'll probably bug you
Heck yeah.
every couple months.
I'm
to say
here
how
7
you're
days a
doing.
week.
But
Every day.
just the conversation part of it, I can sit down with people and, you know, talk to them for an hour where their voice is just going into headphones. There's nothing else. I can have a conversation, learn, when otherwise I would have no way or excuse to be able to talk to business owners or people that have these cool perspectives. The tech stuff, I mean, I don't really like that part, but this is my favorite part, just being able to do this kind of thing.
It's a super interesting model. I don't see how what you're doing any different than what I did. You're essentially positioning yourself into success by interviewing all of these people. It's actually pretty freaking smart at the end of the day. Again, like, you know how they say, surround yourself, if you want money, surround yourself with people who have money. These people who have been successful, and I don't know the definition ultimately of success. I'm happy. I think that's enough. But you working with all of these people is definitely going to sharpen your tools for whatever you decide to do. So it's super smart on what you're doing.
Thanks.
Super
I've already
clever.
learned a lot even today. In each episode, I kind of take little pieces and I can go back and look at them.
Don't do drugs unless you plan on really honing that. Unless that's your life path. Unless you're like, all right, I'm going to do drugs for 5 years, and then and then I'm going to dig myself out of that hole and hopefully end up becoming something, hopefully president. Unless you plan on doing that, just avoid my path altogether. But struggle, man. Struggle's everything. You struggling with your tech, suffering definitely makes you hard, makes you better.
Yeah, isn't it weird that can create some of the best things? Like, you've been able to take so many lessons and build a business that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Whereas if without those struggles, you don't necessarily want struggles, but there's also, so much growth that comes from it. But people like shy away from it so much.
Yeah, pain. Pain is a difficult thing to have to tackle, to deal with. It's easy to run away from pain. It's easy not to want to repeat. I'm definitely not going to dive into that again. That horse threw me off. I'm not getting back on. But it is so important to stick with it. Take your lumps. Get gracious. Get good at failing.
I like that.
Like knowing what it feels like, recognizing it and going, okay, I totally messed up there. In anything, in conversations, if you end up saying something to somebody incorrectly, or you end up offending someone, really out of character, like you're kind of being a dick to somebody.
Yeah.
If you can catch it, apologize, stop, and try to address it and fix it in real time and go, holy cow, it actually happened to me here once.
Really?
I learned a massive life lesson while running this business. I was having a really bad day, and there was this gentleman who came in, man, and if you're watching, I don't remember his name, but he asked if I had something, and I essentially was kind of grumpy with him. The thing he was asking for wasn't going to get me a lot of money. I was going to have to search for it. It was just this real pain in the butt, and he ended up calling me out on it. Like, he's like, dude, all I asked for was this thing. If you had it, fine. If you didn't, fine. But I don't know how difficult it is for you to obtain that. I didn't mean to inconvenience you today. And he was pretty confrontational about it, but he was right. And I stopped. And it was, my blood pressure was going up. Again, mental health issues. I got a little bit of an anxiety issue. But I take medication for it. Hydroxyzine, great drug, by the way. It's a super light. It's not addictive at all. Hydroxyzine is phenomenal. I was taking all of what he was saying, and it was bothering the crap out of me. And I wanted to escalate it. And I caught it. And I was like, you know what, man? You're right. I apologize. Let me figure this out for you. Then I told him, I was like, you know what? I really appreciate you confronting me on that. And instead of getting online and just writing a really bad review or, being a jerk back or something like that, you actually just called me out on the behavior. And I've never done that again. Never again. And the smartest thing I think he ended up coming back later on too and asking for other things. And I recognize him when I see him. But yeah, if you're out there, thank you. I mean, it was a super simple life lesson. That's what really turned me into the anti-curmudgeon. I was like, okay, I really have to identify when I'm failing at this aspect of my personality.
Yeah, sometimes that's what we need. It's
Yes.
Just a little wake up call.
Recognize it and go, holy cow. All right, let me take this and turn this into something positive.
Yeah. What would you say is the most difficult part of running a business?
Time management.
Really?
1,000%.
It's not necessarily a 9 to 5. It's kind of on your own terms. Right?
Yeah, that's what's funny. It's yours to fail. I am particularly not great at time management. That is something I'm constantly trying to get better at. Thankfully, John and Ruby. John is one of my employees here. He's been phenomenal at helping me with my time management. That's my weakest point. My wife, she runs a restaurant, super efficient. Schedules things down to, I swear she schedules things within 30-minute blocks, and is super efficient with her time and can deal with stuff on the cuff. I essentially made up for my deficiency by brute force. So I was like, okay, I suck at time management, so I will always have time. If I've got to go to someone's house at 7 o'clock at night, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hustle. If I essentially need to work all the time to make this work, that's what I'll do. And it worked for 2 years until I was completely drained. And I was actually that little story I was telling you was around that time.
Oh.
That was when I was working 7 days a week. I had to figure out how to make this business work. We weren't super profitable yet. We weren't, I was not at my peak at all. So I essentially had to figure out how to get really good at time management. I'm still getting better at it. I'm not great, but that is the most difficult aspect, is time management, 1,000%. If you have a knack for that, you will be super successful. If you can get good at managing your time, man, that's everything,
Have you had to develop some sort of a routine, or is there a method you've kind of picked up to manage your time now, or has it just kind of been
sticking with a schedule?
Okay.
Yeah, sticking with the schedule, and that's a key thing, is routine and discipline. And the Marine Corps definitely brought a lot of that for me.
Discipline, stick with it. It starts with getting up in the morning and making your bed.
Mm-hmm.
Make your bed every freaking morning. Do it. I think it was a general who said that. But that's a big thing. Get up, make your bed, put on your clothes, brush your teeth, get out and hustle. You don't have lazy days. You work. That's what you do. I mean, I got a lot of that from my father, who has an incredible work ethic, and accomplished everything he did by brute force with time, and worked all the time. That is super important, is having that hustle and working and figuring out how to work efficiently with your time. Hopefully, the end goal for everybody when it comes to time management is hopefully you can get to a point where you're not having to work as hard and you got other people who work for you, who get money, and eventually, hopefully, I'm going to be sitting down playing video games at night and not having to work as hard. I just collect a paycheck from the shop, and I've got John or whoever's running the shop at the end of the day making me money.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
No, that's a good goal. And kind of going off of what you said about discipline, I think that really can resonate with a lot of people. Discipline is such a huge factor, and it seems like more recently, I don't know if it's just, the Instagram or people on social media or if this is actually the case, but it seems like there's this idea of just do whatever makes you happy or do whatever you like. And I think people misinterpret that as that's not necessarily doing what you want to do in that moment, because you could want to sit on the couch and watch TV where discipline comes in is that what actually makes you happy is setting a goal and getting closer to it. So sometimes you have to sacrifice some initial discomfort.
That is so funny you say that, because you're right. I actually haven't really thought about it. If I had my way, I would be sitting down playing video games all the time.
Yeah.
That's it. Essentially, playing video games. Like that's that's one of my recreations is playing video games. But I know for a fact that if I sit down and play video games, I'm not going to get anything done. And I know the computer I'm playing on, I got from hustling and making money. The power I'm consuming, I get from hustling and making money. The home I have is because where I'm going to sit to play video games is because I've worked for it. That's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'll work my butt off all day, and I have this little drive in my head. It's tiny, and as I get older, it's becoming smaller. But it is this thing. I want to go play video games. But I have this massive list of things that I must get done, and then I don't even enjoy my video games until those things are done.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that massive list, I'm like, okay, we're done. I did it. And then it's 11:30, and I'm like, I'm going to play for 20 minutes because I got to go to bed, and I got to start this over again. But when you get your little reward, man, when you get it, when you worked your butt off for it, and you might not get it as long as you wanted, but once you get it, you're like, that's all I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted 15 minutes of alone time. That's it.
Kind of like you earned it almost.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
To kind of go more into some meat and potatoes of running a business.
Yes.
Something I'm always curious about is being the puppet master, if you will, of how things work and where the money goes. How do you determine how much you kind of take for yourself versus reinvesting back into the business? Is there a certain period of time where it just all goes back into the business? When do you start kind of making it something you can live off of? How does that work with starting your own business?
I have a really good CPA, Amy Bentley CPA in Prescott. She's phenomenal at what she does, and she actually helped figure that out for me. I had no idea starting this. I did not know what I could pay myself, when I could pay myself, all of the legal stuff on that, managing those multiple bank accounts. But if your question is, when do you figure out you can start paying yourself?
Yeah.
That is the tricky part, actually, I invest. You've got it. This is my baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is the vehicle for my video game playing time.
Yeah.
So I need to put all of my time and energy and money into this business, and my people as well, like John, Ricardo, Joe, my interns. You invest a ton of money and time in that investment, knowing that at the end of the day, it's going to make your life easier. And there is this little goal in the back of your mind that this will turn out to be money. This will eventually become money. And it has over time. You figure out how to get good. You figure out how to manage your pricing. You figure out how to manage your people. There's nothing more expensive than people, especially if you're paying them legitimately and honestly, and you're giving them a fair wage. Nothing is more expensive than them. But at the end of the day, they're your little investment, right? Like, if I get in a car accident or if I get really sick or something like that, I need somebody here because I do start to rely on this income to an extent.
Yeah.
So when do you start to pay yourself? When, where the balance is in investing, man.
Probably changes for everybody, but
This is, if you give a crap, you will put every bit of energy and money into your business, and do not plan on getting returns for a minute. Sharpen your tools and make sure you understand that. Don't take out pennies to, lose out on the bigger goal, the bigger money at the end of that tunnel.
yeah.
You know what I mean? My wife and my CPA really actually help bridge the gap on, okay, you can take this amount out. This can go to you, right? I actually officially don't even pay myself. We're an LLC. I forget how all this works. My wife, again, is the office manager. She's the brainchild and works with my CPA. I don't even 100% collect a consistent paycheck. I essentially take out money based on what I want. I can essentially pay myself. I'll pay the taxes on it and everything else. But that's essentially how it works with us. I think you have to become an S corp or something like that before you can start actually paying yourself and put yourself on the payroll. Again, I'm working small, LLC for now, work efficiently. Don't expand. Don't try to do anything outside of your scope until you are 100% ready for it. It took years before we are profitable. It took a few years.
Yeah.
Man, it was hard in the beginning. We lost money. I used a lot of the money I made a little bit. I've got a couple of other income sources. One of them was a small amount of disability from the VA, and it's a super small amount. But taking all of my money, and then my wife was helping dump money into the business, and it wasn't for a couple of years before we actually started making money. My guys have consistently made more money than I have with this dang thing. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I hear it's one of those things where you really should be paying yourself more. But I value my guys. I value John. I value Joe. You've really got to balance making sure you're putting money into your baby. So when you are ready, when the time comes, you're setting yourself up for, okay, I can step away. It's going to continue to run efficiently. Work really hard with your people so you don't have to do your job, essentially. Set yourself up for success in that field, and then I will get the returns at the end of it. Don't be short-sighted.
Yeah, I think that speaks a lot to the business you have and why it does well. And that's something that a lot of people should, take to heart if they're thinking about starting a business, because, people want to, reap the benefits right away. But you even said it took a while to get a good, running start on everything.
When I was efficient, when I was small, we're efficient now, but when I was super small, when I was working on my house, there was the money. No brick and mortar store.
Yeah.
No employees. Money was great at that time. When you were comparing to my expenses to profit, essentially, money was great, but we now make way more, but it costs more to make more, essentially. Right. That's why it's important. Do not overgrow. Find that sweet spot on where you're at that perfect size, where you're making money, you're working efficiently, and you have that perfect amount of volume. But you're right.
Yeah, I appreciate your insight on that. To kind of angle this towards these last few questions
Sure.
I always like to ask. What's a book you recommend?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I saw that question that you were going to ask that question. So in my field, so I don't read a lot of actual books. I'm more of an instruction manual kind of guy.
Okay.
I know that sounds dumb,
No, I mean, teach their own.
but I really like to know how things work. So I read a lot more tech news or reviews of products. All of my reading is invested in knowing my craft and learning my craft, which I do every day. A few hours in the morning, a few hours in the evening. You have to eat, breathe, and live tech to make it work because new stuff is coming out every day. And that's why I think I'm better than a lot of these guys. My competition out here is I do that exact thing. I wish I could be playing video games, but I'm really usually absorbing. I love what I do. I love tech, so I just engross myself in it. So my wife reads a lot of fiction, a lot of nonfiction. I really focus on reading anything relating to tech news and my field. You know, some philosophy books that I enjoy. There is a lot of. I try to study a lot of Buddhist teachings, and there's a lot of information in how to self-improve.
Yeah.
What is that one book? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I
Okay.
forget about
I've heard
that
of that one. Yeah.
You know, funny thing is, I've only skimmed through it, but it has a lot of really good information. Buckle down spiritually, whatever that is for you, whatever that is for you. So read about what helps build your constitution, what makes you strong at the core fundamentally.
Yeah.
If that's spiritually or whatever, focus on that. And then I personally just read instruction manuals. That's the most boring way to put it. But essentially everything relating to my craft, I eat, breathe, and live it by reading it a few hours in the morning, a few hours in the evening, staying up to date with the news, when a product is coming out.
Yeah, that's got to be a huge advantage, right? Because you like doing it. For other people, maybe they're not into it as much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I think sets us different is, let's say you get the customer who comes in who knows their stuff really well. Being able to have that conversation with, holy cow, man, I've talked to a few other shops around here and they don't even know what I'm talking about. And you guys do. That is so helpful. I'm going to keep your number. I'm going to talk. I'm going to recommend you. You know, that's pretty much what I do. I read everything that has to do with my field, and I think everybody should. What's a good book that you've heard that maybe might help me in what I do? Because I know you've talked to quite a few people.
Yeah. So the book that actually got me started to do this podcast, that kind of planted the seed, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And essentially he goes and talks and learns from as many wealthy and successful people as he can.
Okay.
And he kind of takes all these little nuggets of information and skill sets and mindset, and basically applies it to his own life and develops this like formula.
Yeah.
Is what he calls it. And
That's
so
cool.
that kind of gave me that. It's like, how do I go talk to people that I can learn from? Well, I could just go ask them. Well, that's kind of weird. Why don't I do a podcast? And then,
Okay.
But so yeah, that's kind of the my favorite one right now. But
I'll
I've had
check
a lot
that
of
out.
recommendations from people. The Millionaire Next Door. It's kind of more angled like with finance from the books I've gotten. People suggest right now. But
I know a lot of. I try to tell people, man, if you're going to go into this industry, there's the heydays, and I was telling you earlier, the heydays of making a boatload of money, which was the 90s. It's kind of gone.
Mm-hmm.
This is way more of an industry of you are focusing on things are a lot easier nowadays.
Yeah.
A lot more self-contained. You know, there's not a ton of money to be made. So work efficiently. If you're trying to go into this industry, into computer repair, focus on working efficiently. There is money to be made. It's not like what's going to give you those finances. That's what I'm trying to get into more, is actually investing my money.
Okay.
Don't work, what's the way to put it, at the end of the day? Make sure you're diversified.
Oh, right.
You know, make sure, who knows, man? China could EMP us, and then all tech is dead, right? I need to make sure I'm diversified in some kind of way. I need to focus on making sure you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And that's what I'm working on now. That's some of the best advice, if anything, I could give anybody is make sure as you go through life, you focus on not selling everything you have.
Right.
Diversify. Make sure you're all over the place in terms of liquidity, assets, and monetarily you're safe. Still learning a lot there, so I appreciate you saying that. Think and grow rich.
I mean, yeah, I guess if I'm learning all this from you, I guess there's one thing I can kind of.
I appreciate it, because this is more of the stuff I'm trying to get into. I'm trying to learn. I don't know a ton in this field. It sucks to have to fail to figure it out, especially with investments, because that stuff costs money.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I appreciate that recommendation. I'll check that out.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool, man. What's your definition of wealth for the Get Wealth podcast? How do you define that?
I totally correlate it 1,000% with happiness.
Mm-hmm.
1,000%, man. Because what is wealth? That is subjective and up to the individual. At the end of the day, are you happy? I think that matters more than anything.
Yeah.
I feel I am extremely wealthy. But it's not about money for me necessarily. I am really happy with what I do. I love that we're talking. I don't care that it's a Sunday and it's super late. I love doing this. I love my animals. I don't have kids, but if I did, I would love them. That would make me feel wealthy. I have a wonderful wife. I have a roof over my head. I don't have any massive struggles in life, I'm at that sweet. There's always room to make money, but I'm at a point where I'm not super stressed about paying the bills. I feel I am extremely wealthy, and it has nothing to do with my bank account.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. I find that's a common theme, and I think that's something that I'm trying to learn and trying to implement in my own life, because there's a place for the hustle, but like the things you mentioned, those are really what matter at the end of the day when you're looking back. So.
I'm lucky. I'm not working. This is not a job to me. Mm-hmm. It's a lifestyle. It's just what I do.
Yeah, you won the lottery with that.
It's all I do. It's all I'm good at. Thank God, because I can't do anything else super well. Everything else is super mediocre. But this, I'm exceptional at, I feel. I think my guys are exceptional. I'm really lucky. # blessed, right?
That's awesome.
But yeah, wealth, man, that's a tricky one.
No, that's a great answer. I think you hit the nail on the head with it. So I appreciate your insight.
Yeah, man.
I don't want to take too much of your time on a Sunday night.
This is awesome.
How can people find PC Simplicities, or like your website?
Yeah.
Any ways to find you, your music? Like, just throw it all out there so people can.
If you want to hear me scream in a heavy metal band, it's terraformthesun.com. Not as interesting. Not for this. But if you want to get any kind of computer work done and you're in the greater Prescott area, pcsimplicity.net is the website. If you just Google PC Simplicity, you'll find us. We're located off the highway near the Honeyman, off of 69. We're here 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 9 to 6, on the weekends, 12 to 4. If we can't do it, we'll find somebody who can. So we're super honest about that. If there's a project we can't do, we will say it, and I will point you in the right direction. Again, customer service, being honest, not being a jerk, not overpromising, don't underdeliver. Just do what you're good at. Yeah, 7 days a week, PCSimplicity.net. Yeah, that's basically how you find us. I'm here every day, or my phone number's lit all the time. So if you're looking for me, I'm on. Come rain or snow, man, I'm working. So you guys can call anytime.
Got it. Well, I think anybody who's listening in the area, you got a few new customers. I would imagine. I don't know how somebody who has the need would not come here over the next guy. So
I appreciate it.
Casey Lyon, everybody, thank you very much.
Oh, yes, sir. Yep. Thank you, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
You rock.
Get wealthy, everybody.
Rock on.